Words. How many words do you think there are in the English language? You have a number in your head? The answer is about over 1 million. Now, 1 million is just a number, so let me show you just how many 1 million dots are. Let's start in this one. 100 dots, and 100 words. Simple enough, right? Let's increase a bit. 1,000 dots and 1,000 words. We still know what this is, right? Let's increase even further. 100,000 dots. And this is only 1/10 of 1 million. Because this is 1 million dots. Now try to imagine a new and different word for each and every single one of these dots. They have their own power, each and every one of these words. And they have power over us. They are their own masters. However, they can't stop us from using them. With words, we've created a society. We have made rules, governments, constitutions, articles, laws, everything. Words are what formed us, and words are what separate us from other animals. So what do we use words for? We write and we speak. Now, we speak because we want people to listen. We write because we have something we want to convey. A man once said, "I know that men are won over less by the written word than by the spoken word. That every great movement on this earth owes its growth to great orators and not to great writers." Now, you all probably know who this man is. He moved a whole people. He created a fellowship and made them fight for what he thought was right. He is today known as a great speaker because of the way he moved on stage and how he acted. And if you have ideas yet? His name was Adolf Hitler. Now, Hitler became a leader in 1933. His party was small, yet he still managed to get control over that country. This is because of the way he spoke to the people. Because when he had a speech, he had written every single word of that speech himself. He had a big passion. He had such a passion for his cause that he moved the whole of Germany. And this is what makes a difference. Because Hitler didn't stand on the stage with a machine gun and threaten them. He used his words to convince them. Because if you make a corner, people look for an escape route. But he made a circular room, and they got to decide for themselves what they wanted to do. And today, in today's society, we have a similar example. The US election. Trump, a man most people outside the US didn't even think would be a candidate, won. Now, what made the Americans vote for him when so many outside didn't even think he stood a chance? In the way he spoke, in the way he was confident. In this way, he is similar to Hitler. Now, when he had a debate with Hitler, he kept attacking her, and often his remarks were childish and wrong. However, he showed that he didn't give in. He fought for what he thought was right, and that is what the people wanted. Because if they are not happy or pleased with their past ruler, they look for someone who they think will make the country great again. Now, Trump used and uses short, easy, but strong words when he speaks, like, "Make America great again." And this makes people believe that he is right. He will create America great again, he will make the country rise. Now, then something happened that Trump might not have anticipated. The media wrote a lot about him. You can see him in every single newspaper. Now, even though the newspapers and magazines didn't write a good thing about him, they still wrote about him. And his name stuck to people's mind. So they helped him, not even knowing it often, even though they were against him. To use words is different from knowing words. You can know the longest and most complicated words, but you may still not win people over. This is because you need to know how to use your words in the right setting. biggest platform today are the social medias. However, the biggest users of these social medias are the young. So if you want to win over the majority of people, you need to know how to use these social medias and your words. You need to know Instagram, Snapchat, WhatsApp, Facebook, all of these medias. Because then you get more of the people, you get a majority, not only the adults, but also the young people. Here you can't use the overcomplicated words or the longest you can find, because we use the short words, the short terms. They attract us. To end this TED Talk, I will end with the longest word in the English language. Any of you want to guess how many words or letters it contains? Sure.
We said it last time, but I think it starts with a O. I don't remember.
Okay, we'll see.
Start 45.
45 letters, that's correct. This is the longest word, and I will not pronounce it, but it's the longest. And I think it's quite cool that we can make up these long words. Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Emmy Koch and thank you for coming to this TED Celebration Night. I'm here to talk to you about body shaming on social media and the effect it has on young girls. Social media is like a tsunami of data, likes, comments, photos, pictures, etc. You open up your Instagram and you learn that your best friend got a new puppy, or that girl you never really talked to moved houses, or that Lady Gaga wore a meat dress to the MTV Awards last night. Social media has brought the whole world together on one server, and this has positive and negative effects. Not to seem hypocritical, but I'm a frequent user of social media myself. I'm active on Instagram and Snapchat, for example. And because I treasure the opportunities social media grants, I'm here to talk about the issues I'm facing and recognizing. So what is this issue? The issue is body shaming. The humiliation of someone's body type, body shape, or body weight in any way or form. Many underestimate this issue because it's psychological and not very vivid from the outside, but the statistics don't lie. 63% of all women value weight as a key factor in determining how they feel about themselves. This means that the majority of the women find their weight more important than their family, their career, or their children. Another study shows that 86% of all women are dissatisfied with their bodies and would like to change something about their exterior. As you can imagine, when your most vulnerable aspect is targeted, an aspect that you're already insecure about, it is extremely painful. So how does this reach over to social media? It's mainly via advertisements. As you have probably noticed, big companies often use social media as a way to communicate their message to the younger audience and spread their message more effectively. One of these big companies is Victoria's Secret. They have 53.3 million followers on Instagram, and they post any of their new campaigns, products, or sale offers. And one of their recent campaigns caught my attention. It was this campaign, the Perfect Body campaign. As you can imagine, this campaign was seen as extremely hurtful since the perfect body Victoria's Secret is referring to is extremely skinny. Indirectly, Victoria's Secret is saying that if you don't look like this, if you're not extremely skinny, you're not beautiful and you don't have the perfect body. Whether consciously or not, my Instagram is also filled up with Victoria's Secret ads and these type of posts that are supposed to be my goals. I'm also insecure because of them. I'm also targeted by them, and I'm also vulnerable to copying them. And by me saying this, by me admitting this to you tonight, I'm living proof that body shaming on social media really is a thing and really does have an effect on young girls. And this story of mine, these insecurities, are equivalent to millions of girls worldwide, some of who are sitting in this very room right now. The presence of body shaming on social media is confirmed by a CNN study. They invited a large group of women and split them in two. One group researched the ocelot, a rainforest cat, for 20 minutes, while the other group went on their social media for 20 minutes. Unsurprisingly, the results were that the women who went on social media for 20 minutes reported greater body dissatisfaction than those who researched cute rainforest cats. So what is the effect of this? One extreme side effects can be eating disorders. Disorders such as anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, and binge eating can be traced back to body shaming messages on social media. Now, the amount of girls with an eating disorder between 15 and 24 years old is on the rise since 1997. Around the same time, a little later, the internet started developing. And a few years after that, social media became a part of people's lives. I don't believe this is a coincidence. I think the number of girls with an eating disorder is still on the rise because of the presence of the internet and social media in their lives. Now, this is because of two things. Eating disorders are caused by obsession and comparison. And if you think about it, these two things can be traced back to Instagram and Facebook and all these social media platforms. So, by holding this TED Talk, I hope to raise awareness. I believe that knowledge is the key to solving any issue. Once you know something, you can start to act upon it. So with this knowledge, I suggest to unfollow any accounts that make you feel unhappy about yourself or that promote insecurity overall. I did this and it made a positive change to my life. I didn't miss it at all, and my self-esteem got a boost. In addition, I'd like to remind you not to post any negative body images on your own accounts. I believe that if everybody would do this, body shaming on social media would completely dissolve. And finally, everyone would know that their body is a perfect body. Thank you.
So, before I begin, I'm going to share a quick story about a girl that I know. Middle school started out great for her. She had tons of friends and was so excited about starting a new chapter in her life. But soon, things went downhill for her. A couple of her friends discreetly taunted her, and she felt like she was growing apart with the rest of them. But this girl talked to her parents and became more assertive with these girls, and now is back to those friendships that she had at the beginning. Hi, I'm Manzara Melman, and I'm going to talk to you about finding balance in middle school. So first, I'm going to take a quick show of hands. Who finds that your stress level is higher than it should be? Well, if you raised your hand, you're not the only one who feels that way. In fact, many teens feel that way. Let's look at stress levels on a scale from 1 to 10. 10 being really high and 1 being the lowest. The expectation, according to the American Psychological Association, or the APA, is 3.9. The reality, according to teens surveyed by the APA, is 5.8. I conducted a survey of ICSA 6th graders about stress and got 17 responses. These students reported that their stress level was a 6.5 on average. Yikes, that's high. Every plant starts with a seed. What are the seeds of stress for middle schoolers? Again, this is information from the survey, but I believe that many people can relate to these. So, 76.5% of the students reported that academics cause their stress. 41.2% said peer pressure. 29.4% said family issues. 29.4% said social drama. 17.6% said sports rivalry. And 23.5% said other, which includes themselves, technology problems, and vulnerability. Vulnerability is being afraid of people finding out things that you don't want them to know about you. Here are some other statistics from the student survey I conducted. This one shows how stressed students get for quizzes or tests. On average, it is a 7.2. This one shows how much time is spent on homework per day, which is 1.7 hours, and how much time is spent studying per week, which is 2.5 hours. And And lastly, this one shows if homework interferes with activities. 7 people said it does, 3 people said it doesn't, and 7 people said sometimes it does. That means 14 out of 17 people have had homework interfere with these activities. So, we can see, with all of this stress and all this homework, students are really having a ton of pressure on their shoulders. So now I'm going to share a few tips and tricks with you, just to make your life easier. And these don't only apply to middle school, but they apply to life. My first tip, stay out of drama. Just because you're a drama queen doesn't mean I'm going to treat you like royalty. Social drama is the root of many middle schoolers' problems. And one way that starts is gossip. Your friends will come telling you some new information, but never tell what you heard. Usually, it isn't even true, or the truth was exaggerated. Also, don't be a go-between when friends are having trouble. For example, I refused to be a messenger, and I successfully avoided drama. My second tip, be yourself. Be a voice, not an echo. Don't change for who people want you to be. Find friends who like the real you. Everybody's personality is different, just like everybody's voice. And if somebody doesn't like the real you, then find somebody who does, because there's always someone out there. And finally, talk to someone. We all need somebody to talk to, somebody who will listen, somebody who understands. And guess who that is? Your parents. I know you think they're all grown up and they have no idea what you're going through, but hey, they were kids once too, and they probably felt like you too. And if you can't confide in them, you can talk to a sibling, a teacher, a counselor, a principal, and of course, a friend. So now that my tips and tricks are done, I want you to take action. I want you to follow those tips. I want you to make your own tips. But most of all, I want you to change your mindset about school. Oh, and remember that girl from the story who had some problems but overcame them? Well, that girl was me. Thank you.
Hi guys. So, if I ask one of my friends, what is the world's most powerful weapon? The answers I'm gonna get are bombs, swords, and pistols, and the list goes on. But in all reality, words are the most powerful weapon we have. You can't avoid words. They're all around you. They're on your phones, on your computers, they're in your notebooks, they're everywhere. They simply cannot be avoided. Words can bring you love, joy, and encouragement, but also hate, sadness, and tears, all depending on how you use them. Words can manipulate thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. There's a quote that I always heard when I was younger, and it goes like this. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. I cannot think of a single lie that is bigger than this one. I think words are what hurt the most. They leave the deepest scars. If you break my arm, it'll be healed in a couple weeks. But if you say something that really hits me, that's not going to go away for a long time. I'll tell you a story. In elementary school, I had these 2 friends who I considered to be really, really close friends of mine. But then they turned on me and my best friend, and it ended up with me being bullied in elementary school. Now, after a while, I told my parents. We told the principal, we told the teachers, and they did what they would normally do in elementary school. They would sit you down with like the students, teachers, and the parents, and try to talk it out and solve the problem, which never works and only makes the problem bigger. And in addition to doing that, they told me 2 things. They told me, it's only words and don't let it get to you. Now, I didn't realize that you can be hurt because of words. I thought I couldn't feel hurt because it was just words. The problem is that it's never just words. 1 out of every 5 kids report being verbally bullied sometime during their schooling. And bully victims are 7 to 9% more likely to consider suicide. Words can slowly convince you of lies, make you believe they're true. If I go up to a friend of mine and I tell her every day that she's ugly, she's going to start believing that. But if I do the opposite and go and tell the same friend every day that she's beautiful, she's going to start believing that instead. One of the problems with social media today is that when you read something about yourself online, you don't hear the attacker's voice, you hear your own. All these words, they God affect us differently, right? And books, for example, are a big example of that. For me, and I know for many of my friends, books affect me in a big way. There's a quote by one of my favorite authors, and it goes like this. One must always be careful of books and what's inside them, for words have the power to change us. Reading can be a roller coaster of emotions. It can make you laugh or make you cry, sometimes all within a couple of pages. People think that it's just words, it's just a story. But these, yes, it is a story made up of so many different words that when put together have immense power. Words can't change reality, they can change how we see reality. These words also affect our moods, because words are as powerful as bullets. If you listen to positivity, you start to feel that same way. If you're listening to negativity, you'll start to feel that way too. One problem with words is that they can't be unsaid. Once you've said something, you can't take it back. Words can be forgiven, but not forgotten. I love to talk. I always have. Just ask my friends. I talk way too much, and I always have. But I've learned through my life that if you don't watch your words, you're going to end up regretting it. Another thing that is incredibly dependent on words is our trust. Sorry. There we go. I heard a metaphor once, and it goes like this. Imagine that trust is a porcelain plate. And you drop this plate, and it shatters all over the floor. You can go up to the plate, and you can apologize over and over again. You can tell the plate how sorry you are, and that you didn't mean it. It's just one big mistake, and it's just words. But that won't make the plate go back together. You can, however, glue the plate back together. You'll always be able to see the cracks. It's the same thing with trust. Once it's been broken, it's really hard to put it back together. The right words can build up trust, but the wrong ones can ruin it. One lie has the power to tarnish 1,000 truths. I can be the most honest person alive and tell one big lie, and my plate is shattered. It's all ruined, and it's going to take a long time to build it back up. That's the problem with words. They can't be unsaid. Several years ago, I wish I'd known that years from now, people are not going to remember how your hair looked or what clothes you wore. People are going to remember what you said and how it made them feel. As for me, I don't remember those girls from elementary school. But ask me their names, I couldn't tell you. Ask me to pick them out in a picture, I couldn't, because I don't remember them. But I do remember what they said and how it made me feel. Perhaps that is why I disagree so much with the quote that sticks and stones may break my bones, words can never hurt me. Because words can hurt me, but I try not to let them. I'll end with this. As a wise man once said, words can inspire, words can destroy, choose yours wisely.
Good evening. I just wanted to start by saying that I really want to interact with you guys in my presentation, and feel free to ask any questions at any time, just raise your hand. So first, I would like to start by asking you guys what these symbols mean to you. Anybody?
Because of your presentation, I think the plus and minus from like the modeling industry.
Positivity and negativity.
Same thing.
Okay, anybody else?
Addition and subtraction.
What?
Math.
Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, so basically, this brings me to my topic. Should we eliminate the term plus size in the modeling industry? Now, the reason I picked these two symbols is because positive is said to be a good thing, or a great thing, but it's used in a negative term when we say plus size. So, first I would like to start by saying, do these models look plus size to you?
they look like plus size because I'm used to seeing them as plus size, but in real life they would be normal.
Yeah.
In real life, I think they're not even like plus size. They're even skinnier than most people.
Yeah.
They're actually not plus size. They're just like normal size. Actually, like they're like Zara said, I think they're actually skinnier.
That actually brings me to the plus size and what it actually is. You see, in the modeling industry, plus size is sizes 8 and up, but in the real world, it only starts at size 16. Now, that's a bit delusional. According to CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the average American woman is size 14, yet the dominant sizes in the industry is 0, 2, and 4. So in a world where you're telling women that plus size is 4 and up, you're causing body image issues, don't you guys think? You're causing unrealistic expectations that every woman should look like these models. Every woman should look like a size 2 or 1 or 4, but they're telling you have to look like these women, but it's never really going to happen. So I would like to share a few quotes with you where models shared their opinion about the term plus size. First, I would like to start by Iskra Lawrence. She says, "I don't think plus size is a fraught term at all. At least I hope it's not. To most people, it's a bit of a gray area. What, you're a plus size model, but you look normal size? Yes, in the modeling, and that's why it's confusing. In the fashion industry standards are different than the real life." Georgina Borg says, it's an insignificant term used by the fashion industry. There is no need to segregate between models because at the end of the day, we are all models. Who agrees with her? Because I know I do. So, Lauren Chan says, "I think plus size is a loaded term for many people. In the world of modeling, it's used to categorize models above normal size. I think a lot of people think that it would be much could be resolved by removing the term plus size." Now, all these plus size and terms, they lead to problems in young girls, causing them to believe that their body is not good enough, causing them to have eating disorders, which is why I wanted to get deeper into eating disorders, and that's the reason why I chose this topic in first place with the plus size and why we should eliminate it. So does anybody know what eating disorders are? Or can anybody give me an example of eating disorders?
An example is bulimia and anorexia.
I'm gonna say what she said.
Okay, anybody else from the back? No? Okay. Yeah? All right. So, like you guys said, it's I wanted to start with anorexia. Anorexia is an emotional disorder characterized by an obsessive desire to lose weight by refusing to eat. Now, these are examples of girls who have had anorexia, and you can see their bones. They're very skinny, and this is actually a good case of anorexia. There are some bad cases of anorexia which can lead to death. Anorexia doesn't only affect the way you look. It affects your whole body. It affects you. You can have a kidney failure. You have weak muscles. You have anemia. Your hair becomes thinner. But most of all, it affects your brain. It actually it affects your brain, and your brain changes in the chemistry. The chemistry of your brain changes. You're sad. You're moody. You have bad memory. You feel really depressed. And so bulimia is another example of an eating disorder. It's also an emotional disorder involving distortion of body image and an obsessive desire to lose weight by overeating and then have a self-induced vomiting. So this is the process for somebody who has bulimia. They eat and then they vomit, and then they eat and then they vomit. So I chose this image specifically because it is actually an emotional disorder. It's something mentally in your mind. There's a problem mentally. You see, when you look into the mirror, you don't see what's actually there. You see a person who doesn't even exist. You see yourself looking like this when you actually look like this in real life to everybody else. Again, like I said, for anorexia, bulimia doesn't only affect the way it looks, it affects you throughout your body. You have low self-esteem, depression, fatigue, irregular or absent period, irregular heartbeat, you have anemia, and it goes on. So, I wanted to introduce to you a woman who's called Susanna Bachwald. And basically, she's a model who has suffered from many eating disorders. In the fashion, so she said, I knew starving myself wasn't the way to live, but I also thought that it was the only way I could stay in my profession. Now, isn't that crazy? The only way you think you can stay in your profession is by starving yourselves. Now, her agency kept telling her, don't exercise, don't eat, or else you will look too muscular or too big. Now, she's only one of the cases, one model who has had anorexia and bulimia. There are so many other models out there who shared their story as well. But it's deeper than that. It's not just the models who are getting affected. It's young girls in our society. When we see models in magazines or in social media, we see goals, and it's not something that it might not be a body that we can't look like that. We might, and it gives us low self-esteem, and we have body image issues because of it. And many girls actually develop anorexia and a lot of other eating disorders just because they're looking at these models and how they should look like, because that's what society is telling them they should look like. Now, the reason I chose this topic is because I knew a woman who had anorexia and eating disorders, and it affected her throughout her life, not only in her young years when she had anorexia. It affected her later on. She couldn't get pregnant. It was impossible for her because of the anorexia. It's things that not only affect you in the short term, but also affect you long term, and your body ruins. So that's why I think we should eliminate the term plus size, because like I said, they're all models, and they shouldn't be segregated by the term plus size. So what do you think?